I'm just so happy. I'm so pleased. For once in the wrestling world, nothing was leaked. There was no surprise. I predicted that this was going to happen ages ago, and I got it wrong, and that made it even better. This is what wrestling is all about, people. We can sit there and moan on the internet and go, I want this to happen, I want that to happen. Sometimes you just have to let your emotions take over and run with it. And I am, of course, talking about the fact that on Retro Ups and Downs tomorrow, we're doing the Royal Rumble 2008. I'm not talking about that at all, but you know, I have to work it in because promotion is important. Look, AEW Dynamite is done. I'm about to have the best time of my damn life. Let's up those downs. Dynamite started by MJF calling Orange Cassidy a soulless ginger prick. Welcome to the show. He was talking to Chris Jericho, who arrived at the building at the exact same time of him, and even though they were like saying, oh, I love you too, you're going to be world champion, no, you're going to be world champion, as soon as they walked in opposite directions, they muttered, what an absolute dick that other guy is. So, you know, they're just bad people deep down in their tum-tums. And look, was this very staged? Yes. But did I think it was quite amusing and very entertaining? Yes, I did. Nice way to kick things off. Our first match was also the Jurassic Express taking on the Lucha brothers, and this made my face like curl up at the side. I think people call it a smile. Then I noticed other individuals going, AEW Dynamite always starts with a tag team match. Is that bad? Should I be upset about this? Because I'm not up. And sure, it wasn't the best one that we've ever seen, but I still thought it was damn entertaining. Pentagon and Phoenix did that weird double splash flip thing they do that I can never work out every time I see it. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I think Jungle Boy gets better each and every week. He's just finding his groove, he's finding his flow, and we all know that Luchasaurus kicks all the ass. He's been doing it for 65 million years. It was the dinosaur who got the hot tag after Jungle Boy had been beaten up for a while. But when Jungle got back in there, Pentagon and Phoenix hit him with their spike pile driver, stomp thingamajig, or whatever the hell it is. And amazingly, Jungle Boy kicked out. I did not see that coming. I was like, Rey Mysterio. It got a reaction out of me, so fair play, and I think that it really upset the Lucha brothers because they went for another mood, they collided together, and it went to show that clearly behind the scenes, Jungle Boy has been watching a lot of wrestling because he used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he got the 1, 2, 3. And the victory. Now, I was really happy to see them get the W because I kind of felt like they needed it. I don't know why, that's what my brain was telling me. But yes, we have been seeing a lot more roll-ups in AEW recently, so know that they are being watched. They are on notice. If I have to bring the board across from WWE ups and downs, that's what we'll do. Because as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I'm an honest critic, I am a transparent critic, and I am a bald asshole. Still, it was a fun match, but I'm really not quite sure what the point of Eddie Kingston's new group is. Because afterwards, Penta and Phoenix fell out again, and Eddie got a microphone. He was like, for the love of everything, would you please realize we're meant to be buddies, we're meant to be pals? I'm sick of all of you. He didn't do that, but he did come across like an upset parent. He tried to remind them that together they can be a unit, and he even made Barbs at Pac, because where's that guy? Well, he's trapped in the UK, much like I am at the moment. And he made something to the Blade saying, where's your wife? Because of course he's talking about Ali, the bunny, who has just vanished from all existence. Thankfully they did all make up because that's the power of Eddie, who also went on to say, also, I never got thrown out of the Battle Royal, look at the rules. And while he's technically right, I see it this way. If you're fooling around on the top rope and then your ass goes out onto the floor, well, I say more blame you. There is clearly something brewing here, however, and it is not a pot of coffee. I'll keep my eye on it. I've already made my Rey Mysterio joke for this video, so I'll leave it. Jake Roberts and Lance Archer then told us they were going to make Jon Moxley wee his pants. What? And that was a little strange, but I will say the presentation was cool because they were like kind of down some alleyway as it rained. I don't know what it is with rain, but if you do feature water falling from the sky, it just comes across so much better. Roberts also let us know that these two enjoy getting wet, so I was like, man, we're on some crazy trip here. Before Lance Archer was just like, look, forget all of this. I'm sick of you, Jon Moxley. I'm sick of you being world champion, and I am coming to take that title belt back. And I was like, oh man, he sounds pretty serious. I am really pumped for that match, because if you've seen those two guys go at it before, they do not hold back. I like Lance Archer a lot. Obviously, I like Jon Moxley too, but Archer deserves something like this. So well done all around. It was then time for maybe what was the most anticipated wrestling segment of the week when Matt Hardy came to an AEW ring to address everything that had happened at All Out. Now I want to make this clear. There is no good about somebody falling from a high vantage point and smashing their head on the concrete floor and having to go to hospital, but you can always find some positives when you look for it, and given the words that Matt Hardy said, I think we found it. Because simply due to the lack of fans, everything that Hardy has tried so far in All Elite Wrestling hasn't really worked. For example, broken Matt Hardy needs a bunch of people going crazy for it, but here it was just so real, he was so lovely, he was so heartwarming. I couldn't have wanted anybody to have been more successful in this moment than Mr. Hardy, and this should be his character. Just wholesome, wonderful Matt. And he's getting it up. He apologised to the fans for everything that had happened and said how touched he was to receive all of these messages, and even pointed out his family who are in the crowd, and he said sorry to those guys as well. He also said it's probably for the best that his feud with Sammy Guevara is now over, because who the hell knows what would have happened next. And he is damn right. That whole thing has been cursed. Somebody should be looking out for Papa Shango. He finished it by saying that as soon as he is cleared to return, he is going to get himself ranked by AEW and then go after a title. And I said to myself out loud by myself in my living room, which means I have a little bit of a problem, that's something that I want to see. And I mean this, I'm going to say it, comments are going to go nuts. If it's the World Championship and Matt Hardy wins, I would support that. I just love the guy, and like I say, this presentation was so good, how could you not root for him? Also, I'm mostly just glad that he's okay. That's my big takeaway from this. Matt Hardy is not dead, which is ironic because that was his catchphrase. So yeah, thumbs. There's a thumbs again. And then what a world we live in. I mean, 2020 is just this crazy, strange place where I'm still amazed that aliens haven't come down. Because we had Orange Cassidy in a match against Angelico, however we're pronouncing it, and it was basically a squash match. Now the irony there, because you know Orange and squash, don't want to talk about it, but also if you had told me a year ago that that was the position Orange Cassidy was going to find himself in, well I would have thought it would have been the other way around. He's a dude that used to throw deliberate fake kicks. I tell you though, up. It wasn't a totally one-sided affair because Angelico did get some stuff in, but ultimately this was a man who has benefited massively from his feud with Chris Jericho. Feels like he's on a new level, so he just whooped his ass. Finished with the fruit punch, whatever he calls it. 1, 2, 3. He looked like a star. His evening then, unfortunately, did turn to crap because as he was celebrating, out came Santana and Ortiz and they absolutely ruined him before, of course, the best friends came out to make the save. And what I like to think happened is that backstage, Sue rang up Trent and she went, here's your moment, boy. Make up for everything you've done to me. And they ran out and they did indeed chase them off and challenge them next week to a fight in a parking lot. Given everything that All Elite Wrestling has done recently, I think we're all going to need to sit down and be prepared. That is going to be off the chain. Then the Young Bucks. What is the deal with these schmoes? Somebody needs to sit them down and give them a stiff talking to because all Alex Marvez was doing was his job. And he knocked on the Young Bucks dressing room door. Nobody answered. Look at the camera like, oh, I don't know what to do. And when they did open, they kicked him right in the face. I mean, really, guys, really, you are not handling this Hangman Adam Page situation at all. Now, I guess the worst that could have happened to Marvez is that he had a fractured jaw, but as we learned recently, you can get over that in 2 weeks, so we can all just calm down. And then, my friends, then it happened. Back on Saturday, when Kip Sabian just made an off-the-cuff remark that he was going to have a best man on Dynamite, I didn't think too much of it. I thought it could be quite fun, but if you had told me it was going to turn into, and I mean it, my favourite segment of 2020 in pro wrestling, I would have slapped you and called you bonkers. I just thought it was going to be some stupid joke that I would have laughed at because I'm stupid, but oh boy, it was great. Because as Kip and Penelope stood in the ring and teased that maybe Puff, a random indie wrestler, or even Brian Pillman Jr. was going to be his best man, he then revealed who it actually was, and it was the former RUSEV. It was Miro, and thankfully, I don't know why I was doing this, I recorded my reactions to it, and I'm gonna share it with you now. Roll the footage. That is not that footage. Roll the other footage. Are you kidding? Oh, nobody. Let's just talk about it. Okay, we don't have it, but you have no idea how crazy I went. You have no idea how ecstatic I was. I genuinely at one point thought I was dead, because obviously I've never died before, so I thought, well, maybe the feeling I'm experiencing now is death. I just couldn't control everything that was going on. Miro then cut a promo saying that he's not a best man, he's the best man, so I suppose that's the gimmick we're going to go with here, before he turned his attention to that other company and the fabled and made-up brass ring and said, you can take that ring and you can stick it up your ass, and now that he is on Dynamite, now that he is on AEW, he's going to show everyone what he's able to do. And I'm like, yes, this is so true. I know in my heart and hearts what you can do, now everybody else can see it too. Everybody calm down. He also made it sound like he was going to destroy everyone, and I really wanted him to turn around and just destroy Kip Sabian there and then, but I guess that will happen in a few weeks' time. And for everyone going, oh, I can't believe it's another WWE guy in AEW, here's my response. I don't flubbing care. I've no idea where he do go next, but as I've said before, and as I'll say again, I don't think he was given a proper shape in WWE. I know there were moments, but look, the fact that RUSEV Day was so over and they tried to kill it sums it up, and I've been racking my brain all day. What do I give this? Because an up is not enough, even a golden up is not enough, so I thought, well, Dave Meltzer is breaking his system all the time, so for the first time ever, on ups and downs, it doesn't just get one up, poof, there it goes. It gets 2 ups. That's right, I'm giving 2 ups to one segment. And am I biased? Yes. And have I broken everything? Yes. But do I care? Once again, no. In fact, you know what? Make that second one golden. That's right. So not only do you get 1 up, you only get 2 ups, but the second up is a golden up, and none of this makes any sense anymore. I'm just so happy. Like I said during the intro, I'm just so happy. I'm a massive Rusev / Miro fanboy, and given what they've done with the likes of Brodie Lee and everybody else that has jumped across, oh man, I'm so excited. If you want to call me an absolute idiot in the comments, you're right. My mum and dad are telling me that all the time anyway. I'm aware. Miro, go and do your thing. I'm going to back you every step of the way. I was a little bit worried about what was going to come next because I was on such a high. I was like, man, I'm now going to crash and burn and probably not enjoy it in the way it's intended. But then AEW went into the old school wrestling playbook and pulled out something that always works, the sit-down interview, and the guest just so happened to be Hangman Adam Page. It was manned by Tony Schiavone, and the big takeaway is that the Cowboy understands he really screwed up when it came to FDR because they looked like him and they acted like him, but deep down they were just a couple of pricks, and he hopes he can make this up to Kenny Omega as they go after the Tag Team Championships one more time. Who wants to go and tell Adam that he may be barking up the wrong tree and that he really has dropped the ball? He basically just poured all of his feelings out here though, to the point that you actually felt sympathy for him. And do not forget, the person in all of this that did make a massive mistake was Hangman Adam Page, and yet by the end of it, or the middle of it, whatever you want to call it, you're going, oh man, Adam, I feel so bad for you. That, folks, is just really good storytelling, and we ain't even done on this evening. It was then Jericho and Jake Hagar teaming to take on Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela, and thank everything that AEW did tell us this was an ODQ match, otherwise my hair would have fallen out. But yeah, it was fine up. Now I do feel a little bit sorry for Janela and Kiss because they had this really cool coming together with all the videos and had a little bit of momentum, but now they're just getting their asses whipped, which is kind of what happened here. I mean, they tried to use the no DQ rule to their advantage, but then Jake Hagar was taking Joey Janela, chucking him off the stage through a table. I'm not sure that was part of their game plan. Kiss wasn't going to let this slide and was actually in control for a little bit, even climbed the top rope probably to hit that 450, but Chris Jericho then used all of his experience, got a fire extinguisher, sprayed it in Sonny Kiss's face. That allowed Jake Hagar to hit a Uranagi, did that choke pin thing he does. Chris Jericho and Jake Hagar are on their way to Victory Tower. It made me think that potentially we have a brand new tag team title contender, and then Jericho backed that up by getting a microphone and saying, yeah, my new plan is to team with Jake. We're going to go after the tag team titles. And a major reason for this is because at the pay-per-view, the Inner Circle had an absolutely crappy night. Obviously, he had been thrown into some mimosa, and Sammy Guevara, well, he's at home nursing his wounds. Again. I think that could be quite interesting, especially because Hagar and Jericho together, well, they're quite an interesting team. We shall put it in the book as wait and see. This is the book. There was then such a good tease between MJF and Wardlow, because you knew they were going to have to do something given it was kind of Wardlow's fault that MJF lost his world title match against Jon Moxley at All Out, but Maxwell started by looking around his campaign headquarters and going, you know what, this is also to blame, this was a pile of crap, and you're all fired. The whole time that woman was still smiling, she deserves some kind of award. He then turned to his bodyguard and started to rip him to pieces. And if you were sat at home going, Wardlow, just knock this fool out, he's being an absolute numpty, they even had an excuse for this because MJF went, look, calm your face down, you need to back off because AEW doesn't pay your wages, I do, and if you do anything I don't like, you and your family will be out on the streets. What a piece of garbage. He's also obviously livid that Jon Moxley did cheat, although he's not too surprised because that's what Jon Moxley does. So now, not only have we sown the seeds for a potential feud with Wardlow and MJF down the line, we're not doing it right now, so MJF, as he said, can slowly climb his way back to the top. I love all of this, it's layered and it's depth and you can swim through it. We followed with a Moxley promo too, and he just never misses, does he? He's like got a gun and a target and he fires, and he hits the bullseye every single time. He can't believe after everything else that's going on, he now has to fight Lance Archer, but he's Jon Moxley, he's the champ, and would you bet against him? No, you probably wouldn't. That match is gonna be fire. And then things got confusing. Down. FTR and Tully Blanchard were in the ring surrounded by cake and champagne and beer and all this kind of stuff because they're so happy they're the tag team champions, and a bunch of other tag teams were around ringside. Obviously FTR and Tully Blanchard were like, we're the best, we're undefeated, you all suck, kiss our ass. Clearly they have some kind of finger of power though, which worried me because they're not coming for my gig, are they? Because they just pointed the Jurassic Express and go, ha ha, you guys next week can have a non-title match and we'll see how we'll get on. Now, it's a great match, something I'm certainly invested in. But after Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy got in FTR's faces, they kind of threw some napkins at them and then they bailed. And then to get some kind of revenge, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus did pour the cooler on them before they cut up the FTR cake and started sharing slices around. This was really, really strange. And we absolutely should be doing more with my dinosaur friends because they absolutely deserve it. I just didn't think this was the best setup in the world, although I will caveat that with the fact that loads of people are saying their kids love Luchasaurus and their kids love Jungle Boy, and I bet a child thought this was the greatest thing they've ever seen because their two favourites ran amok. So even though it wasn't for me, and once again I'll always be honest, I certainly think there was an audience. See, it's always important to get into this stuff so you don't go crazy. Ricky Starks then cut a promo, and he's quite good at this, isn't he? He came out looking like Darby Allin and even impersonated him for a little while, going, oh, nobody likes me and I just want to skateboard, and called him a moron because he got injured once again. Not 100% wrong. This is going to continue when Darby finally does return because Ricky wants a piece for him, and that's just a great match. That's my takeaway from this. Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin. There's not only two new superstars that we can build and look forward to in the future, but they will absolutely kill it in the ring. Once again, they're back. They're coming out all the time today, couple of thumbs. Ty Conti, who had only just signed with AEW, was then making her way to the ring to take on Nyla Rose, and I thought this was fabu. Because whether she was putting it on or whether she was told to do it or not, you could see the emotion on her face. She looked genuinely pleased, and in turn, I felt genuinely pleased for her. I mean, she's achieved her dream, is getting it up. We then got into this, and I was pleased to see Nyla Rose back on Dynamite because it feels like it's been a little while. And maybe if it wasn't for that damn Vicky Guerrero, Conte would have won this. Damn you, Vicky. Because she raked at her eyes, which left her all discombobulated. And even though later on she was able to get a choke on Rose, you know the deal with Nyla. She's a beast, so she just picked her up, she hit the beast bomb, and she beat the debutante for the 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to guess that next up we are going to do Shida versus Nyla for the women's champion, because after Nyla was beating up Conti, out came Shida, and she chased her off with her friendly kendo stick. I mean, those two, they like best buds. I thought this was more than solid, and of course there were lots of teasers about whether Conti is going to join the Dark Order, because a couple of weeks ago, she got the contract. And if she saw the main event this evening, and everything that happened in the aftermath, maybe it's not the best idea in the world. But yeah, solid stuff. There was a Kenny Omega sit-down interview next, and all I'm going to say is see above. What I mean by that is it was as good as the Hangman Adam Page one, maybe even better. But this time it was being hosted by Jim Ross, and throughout all this, the commentators really let us know, remember what the Young Bucks did earlier? Well, they have both been fined $5,000, so something is going on. Just to throw all of Adam Page's hopes and dreams out the window though, 1, Kenny Omega has no interest in being a tag team anymore. 2, he has accepted the fact that he's lost the titles, you know, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But 3, his plan is to go back to the singles division and become the ace of AEW which is what he should always have been. Straight up, Kenny was brilliant here, and as well as coming across like a man who is slowly losing his mind, when he does bring back the cleaner, whatever the hell he does, and he does start beating people in singles divisions, and he does start reminding you how good of a wrestler he is, this is going to rock. It just is. That Metallica, dun 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 dun. That is going to be Kenny Omega, you gang it up. And then finally, Dustin Rhodes and Brodie Lee kicked the hell out of each other in our TNT Championship match. Dustin attacked Lee during his entrance, which meant that Brodie's power was decreased by 50% because that's how it works in wrestling. And then they were just brawling all over the place, including at one point, Dustin gave Brodie a back body drop onto a table, and the table didn't break, but it did not look comfortable at all. Then they were power bombing and pile driving each other, and while these feel like common moves, don't forget these are giant men, and they were throwing each other around like they were pigeons. Lee also posed with his title halfway through the match, which you should never do because you're tempting fate, and that's kind of when Dustin Rhodes started his comeback. I'm going to say this every single time because I think it's important we remember he is 50 years old, and when he's flying around, it's like he's a child. Well, not a child, but like a man who's in his 20s. I just don't know how it's possible. Long John Silver, who was in the corner of Brodie Lee, dived in at one point, but he got his ass handed to him by Dustin, who gave him the power slam. But ultimately, it just wasn't meant to be because Brodie gave him one hell of a discus lariat. It took him down. He got the 3 count, and he is still your TNT champion. Everybody. Some people are like, I don't like him. Yeah? Well, you're a fool. There was more here afterwards, though, because after all the Dark Order had come out and just booted Dustin right in the balls, as soon as Brodie Lee saw Colt Cabana, he lost his damn mind and told him to get the hell out of here. You know, Udo was trying to calm this down, but the coolest thing about this was that Brodie was in some kind of trance to begin with, and then as soon as he laid eyes on Colt, he just snapped like he was going insane. Cabana didn't look happy at all, and I really like this as a quick story flutter, because now you're like, well, what the hell's gonna happen? Are they gonna make up? Is he out on his ass? Where do we go next? It's a reason to tune in. I also think that after this, there was an announcement by Cody that he is going to be involved in a brand new talent show featuring the likes of Snoop Dogg and Rosario Dawson, which, if you don't know, is a couple of big stars. The reason to say I think this is true is that although I have seen it on social media, I was watching Dynamite on Fight TV and the feed just stopped. For starters, what a damn journey Cody has been on. I mean, he was in a company where he's quite comfortable. He left, he reinvented himself on the indie scene. He basically helped start competition programming, and now he's just sliding into the mainstream. And yes, I get the criticism. They're like, oh, this is the first time we've seen this since the Brodie Lee thing. Look at the bigger picture, people. This is Cody entering a far bigger world than just sports entertainment, and this is what will happen. Cody knows what he's doing. He knows how to hold himself, so people will see him and go, what a nice guy. I wonder what he does for a living. Then they'll go and watch AEW, and maybe you make some new fans. That is good for professional wrestling as a whole, and once again, we should all start betting on ourselves like Cody flipping Rhodes. It's called the Go Big Show, and I think it's a talent show, all things considered. And I just thought, good for him. That's how I felt, good for him. It was positive thoughts all around. And although a couple of people tweeted me saying they thought this Dynamite was all over the place, I think it was one of my favourite episodes ever. And I know it's only because of Miro. Well, who cares? A fact is a fact. Give it an up. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Dynamite. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling. Then head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here with one Rey Mysterio eye on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. As mentioned earlier, we are doing Royal Rumble 2008 tomorrow for Retro Ups and Downs. You chose it. Make sure you tune in. See you soon.